Okay, great.
Yep,
So, thank you. So welcome everyone, and I'd like to call to order the May 26th meeting of the Santa Rosa Planning Commission. And I'll read the following statement. Due to the provision of the Governor's Executive Orders N-25-20 and N-29-20, which suspends certain requirements of the Brown Act and the order of the Health Officer of the County of Sonoma, to shelter in place to minimize the spread of COVID-19, the Planning Commissioners will be conducting today's meeting in a virtual setting using Zoom webinar. Commissioners and staff are participating from remote locations and or practicing appropriate social distancing. Members of the public may view and listen to the meeting as noted on the city's website and also as noted on the agenda. Members of the public wishing to speak during item 4, public comment, may do so by raising their hand and will be given the ability to address the commission. So with that, if you could please call roll.
Absolutely. Please let the record reflect that all members of the commission are present with the exceptions of Commissioner Carter and Commissioner Dugan.
Thank you. Item 2 is approval of minutes, which we don't have any minutes today. So we'll move on to item 3, public comments. So I will go ahead and open the public comment portion for any item not included in this meeting's agenda. If you wish to make a comment via Zoom, please select the raised hand button. If you're dialing in via telephone, please dial *9 to raise your hand. You will have 3 minutes. A countdown timer will appear for the convenience of the speaker and the viewers, and please make sure to unmute yourself when asked to do so. And then your microphones will be muted at the end of that countdown. Ms. Host, do we have any?
We do not have any raised hands at this time, nor are there any phone messages or emails for this meeting.
Great. Thank you very much. So we'll go ahead I'll go ahead and close the public comment portion, and we'll move into Planning Commissioners' reports. We'll read our statement of purpose, which is the Planning Commission is charged with carrying out the California planning and zoning laws in the city of Santa Rosa. Duties include the implementation of plans, ordinances, and policies relating to land use matters, assisting in writing and implementing the general plan and area plan, holding public hearings and acting on proposed changes to zoning code, zoning map, general plan, tentative subdivision maps, and undertaking special planning studies as needed. So with that, we'll move into 4.2. Do we have, is there a subdivision report today?
We do not have any listed today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Commissioner Carter is not here today, and he is our waterways person, so we won't have any committee reports. So we'll go ahead and move on to commissioner reports. Do we have any commissioner reports today? Okay, well, I would like to mention that the Santa Rosa Merit Awards season is now open, and if you have somebody you would like to nominate for a merit award, please go to the city's website and fill out the application. Or if you have questions about that, just let me know, okay? So there aren't any other commissioner reports. We'll go on to department reports. Ms. Hartman?
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Nice to be back in this forum. So my name is Claire Hartman. I'm the Director of Planning and Economic Development, and I'm now your new staff liaison. So I've been on a bit of a walkabout in the last couple of years, but it feels great to be back at the commission, and we have a great team. So I do have a little bit of a report. So I do look forward to working with the commission. We are going to be looking at hybrid meetings at some point this year, so we'll get together and figure out when that's going to work for our team as well as for you. It's definitely something on our horizon. And then also looking at different opportunities to get feedback from you about how it works, you know, your receipt of the staff packets and, you know, time to do some refreshing so that it is efficient, but gets the information out there. and also some opportunities for training. So I'm looking forward to those types of things. Tonight, I just want to thank Eileen Cleary and Kimberly Hopwood. They're standing up this meeting today. Really appreciate their ability to fill in for Michelle Montoya while she is out. Other events that have been very exciting this week, I'd like to congratulate Jessica Jones. She has been appointed our Deputy Director for Planning. Now, Jessica, as most of you know, has 22 years of urban planning experience, 14 with the City of Santa Rosa. She also did a walkabout over at the town of Windsor, but she's come back. Happy to have her as our Deputy Director, and look forward to lots of years ahead with her at the helm. Another great announcement for this week for planning in particular is that the city has received the Award of Excellence for a comprehensive plan in a large jurisdiction for the downtown station area specific plan. So this award was by the Northern Chapter of the American Planning Association, but we've also submitted for the state level, so fingers crossed, we'll get some recognition at the state level. And of course, I certainly believe that we deserve that type of recognition. And I do thank the commission for all the work that they put into that plan. And as you remember, it was adopted in October 2020, and it was an opportunity where the city made some really major moves that have really made a difference already. As you can see, if you've been in downtown, you see a lot of activity. So some of the major moves associated with that plan were eliminating parking requirements for the entire plan area, eliminating residential density, and moving to floor area ratio, expressing maximum flexibility on land use, but also adhering to strict design standards. It's actually catalyzed quite a bit of new development. I know we need to do a better job getting that information out to the public and mapping it and showing it, but we've been busy processing the work. So I'd like to say that we've been as successful as having over 750 housing units approved or in the pipeline in the last 18 months. It really has been phenomenal, and it's just getting started, so I'm pretty excited about it. And then another highlight this week is that we did complete the alternatives phase for the general plan update, and thank you to you participating in that joint session with the City Council, hearing the last and contributing additional information about how you think we should address the different alternatives that we had collected and vetted through the community. Next stage is preferred alternatives. So we'll take all that feedback and we'll build the ultimate model for our comprehensive plan and start to vet that out, adapt it, and analyze it. And then I think in next coming up meetings for the Planning Commission, I think things that you can look forward to is we'll have a draft housing element that's on a little bit of a tighter timeline. So that's going to come to you separate from the general plan update, but ultimately will be folded into it. And also a missing middle initiative. And I think that's it. Anyway, we're doing a lot of great work, and I thank you for your engagement in it.
Thank you, Ms. Hartman. Any questions of Claire or comments? Okay, thank you. Then we'll go ahead and move on to any statement of abstentions. Are there any statement of abstentions tonight? Okay, seeing none. We don't have any consent items, so we'll move right into our scheduled item today, which is a study session, the 2021 General Plan, Inclusionary Housing and Growth Management Annual Review Report, and I believe Ms. Nicholson or Ms. Lyle, I believe Ms. Nicholson, I see you, will be providing the staff report tonight.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chair Weeks and Vice Chair Peterson and members of the Commission. Let me go ahead and pull up my presentation. Okay, are you able to see the presentation?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so as you mentioned, the item before you is the 2021 General Plan Inclusionary Housing and Growth Management Annual Review Report. And I wanted to let you know that we do have staff members from various divisions and departments that help contribute to this report should you have any questions. And if a staff member is not available based on a conflict, we will certainly get back to you with a written response. Okay, give me a second here. All right, so starting off with the housing element, we had a very impressive year for housing project approvals. So this is planning entitlements, and I wanted to highlight 3 Senate Bill 35 projects that were approved in 2021, which totaled 291 units. And the Commission may remember that Senate Bill 35 is a bill which requires a streamlined and ministerial approval process for affordable housing projects. And we were lucky to process 3 projects. One, which is the Bennett Valley Apartment Project, pictured on the left. And so this project includes 63 units. 32 are extremely low income, and 29 are targeted for very low income households. The city also approved the Mahonia Glen project, which is not pictured here, but this is located at the intersection of Highway 12 and Calistoga Road and consists of 99 units for farm workers and their families, and 26 are for extremely low income households, 22 for very low income households, and 50 for low income households. And then the third Senate Bill 35 project is the cannery at Railroad Square, and this is pictured in the center on this slide. It consists of 129 units, 33 for extremely low income households, 37 for very low, and 58 for low income households. The Housing Authority was able to award funds for each of these Senate Bill 35 projects in 2021. And so we hope to see these projects under construction in the next year. I also wanted to highlight a few downtown projects which received planning approvals. One is located at 425 Humboldt Street, which is pictured on the right. And this is an 88 unit, 7-story building. Planning also approved a project on the Smart Village site. This is a 6-story, 114 unit mixed use project, which is located in the Railroad Square Preservation District. Looking at building permits issued, so this last slide we talked about planning approvals. These are projects that have received planning approvals and now they are ready to start construction. As you can see from this graph here, we had a very impressive year for building permits issued. There were a total of 1,404 units permitted. And this includes the replacement of housing within our fire rebuild area. This total includes 1,052 multifamily units, 257 single family dwellings, and this includes attached single family units, and then 95 accessory dwelling units. And just diving into the affordability piece as well, quite a few of these units are deed restricted affordable, including 28 for extremely low income households, 183 for very low income households, 190 for low income households, and then 70 for moderate income households. The remaining 933 are above moderate rate units. This slide shows progress made toward meeting our regional housing needs allocation. So as the Commission heard or has likely heard this last year, we are moving into the end of our 5th cycle for our housing element, which spans the period of time from 2015 to 2023. And we're currently updating our housing element for the 6th cycle. So this table here compares the RENA allocation, which is given to each jurisdiction in the state of California from a regional government, and the city of Santa Rosa is under ABAG, which stands for the Association of Bay Area Governments. And so this top row shows the various allocations by income category, and you can see that there's a total of 5,083 units. The next row down shows the number of building permits that have been issued through the end of the year 2021. And then the bottom line shows our remaining need. So just a few things to point out about this table. We have exceeded the above moderate units by 341. This table also includes both allocations and credits from the annexation of the Roseland area. And then even though we did exceed the required allocation for above moderate units, that doesn't take away from the overall total, which is 1,504. So that number is comprised of all units that are moderate or low income households. Moving on to economic vitality. So this is another element in the city's general plan, and this calls for maintaining a positive business climate, which retains and expands existing businesses and attracts new businesses. And I wanted to highlight a few non-residential projects which went through the planning process in 2021. One is the Brookwood Medical Center. This project is still under review, but it is located within the downtown station area specific plan area at 2nd Street and Brookwood Avenue, and consists of a 4-story medical office building. The planning department approved an expansion of the Children's Museum. So this is called Esperanza Park, which is the second graphic here on the slide, which will greatly expand outdoor activities for this very popular museum. And in 2021, actually I misspoke earlier, this project started construction in 2021, and this is the Session Climbing and Fitness Center, and this is located in the South A neighborhood. And then finally, a office warehouse type project was approved near the Corporate Center Business Park, and that's pictured there on the right. So this slide here reflects 2 metrics that we typically include in our general plan annual review report. So the first is graph here is showing vacancy rates. And so just for a little bit of context, the vacancy rates for office, industrial, and retail buildings were pretty steady until 2020 when the COVID pandemic hit. We have seen our industrial vacancy rates return to what they were pre-pandemic, although the retail and office vacancy rates still remain quite high and impacted by the pandemic. We also saw quite an uptick in sales tax receipts in 2021, as pictured here on the slide. Moving into the transportation element, 2021 was an exciting year for bicycle and pedestrian improvements. One notable project, which is pictured here on the slide, is the bicycle and pedestrian overcrossing, which spans 101, starting at Elliott Avenue near the Junior College, where a student housing project is underway, and it's actually shown here in this rendering. And the overcrossing will connect to the Coddingtown Mall area on Edwards Avenue. So this project went before the city's design review board for another round of comments in fall of 2021, and grant funding has been secured, and the plan is to commence construction in 2023 with completion in fall of 2025. The Transportation and Public Works Department also launched a bicycle and pedestrian webpage, which includes a number of resources, including links to plans and projects, and also an interactive bicycle map and information on how to report any hazards. The department also completed a corridor study, which identifies future bicycle and pedestrian improvements needed on Stony Point Road between Sebastopol and West 3rd Street. There was also a bicycle parking inventory completed for the downtown and also Railroad Square, and a pilot program for shared scooters and also shared bikes. So 2 separate programs were in progress in 2021 and should be launching this year. And then in addition, transportation and public works staff and planning staff continue to participate in a countywide Vision Zero initiative. And the goal of this initiative is to eliminate any traffic fatalities and severe injuries through a variety of approaches, including engineering, education, and enforcement. This slide includes some highlights from our transit division. And much like last year, fixed route riderships were down, and this is seen nationwide due to the pandemic. The city bus continued to offer discounted or free fares for various members of our population. And they were able to launch a youth unlimited ridership program, which has vastly exceeded the projections. In fact, the youth ridership rates were up 125% above pre-pandemic levels in October and November of last year. And then finally, an unlimited rides pass program was established. And this program provides deeply discounted passes to employers and housing developers who can pass those along to employees and residents. Moving into the public services and facilities element. So this is comprised of several different sections. So we'll start here with parks. Parks continued to make progress on a number of projects. One was the Colgan Creek Park Playground project. That construction was completed early this year for new equipment. Design started on a place to play community park sports field. And the construction drawings for the Kiwanis Springs Community Park Community Garden also were underway in 2021. And then in addition, there's been some public engagement and planning for the South Davis Neighborhood Park and also the Dutch Floor Neighborhood Park. And I also wanted to mention Measure M. This is a tax measure which was approved by voters in 2018, which provides funding for these various parks and improvements. And the parks staff held a number of community engagement opportunities in the first part of 2021 to gather input regarding citywide priorities. Moving into police and fire services, the police department responded to 109,337 calls for service in 2021. The general plan does have specific policies related to response times for police calls. The department continued community-oriented policing by assigning officers to specific beats throughout the city, including downtown and also the Roseland area. And the police department continued their collaboration with various neighborhood associations and community-based organizations and other county partners to develop best practice strategies and responses. And then the city's fire department responded to 28,064 calls for services last year. They continue to participate in what's called the Sonoma County Fire District Agreement, which ensures that the closest, most appropriate fire resources are dispatched to an incident regardless of jurisdictional boundaries. And as the commission knows, in reviewing various pre-zoning requests, we do have a lot of county islands surrounded by city property. And so this is one of the advantages of this agreement. And then finally, the department continues to participate in what's called the Santa Rosa Mutual Threat Zone Operating Plan, which is a joint response plan with the Sonoma County Fire District and CAL FIRE to cover specific wildland urban interface areas. Moving into water and wastewater, the city continues to promote water use efficiency programs, including operating rebates for rainwater harvesting, gray water reuse, and the removal of lawns. And so this helps to ensure that we're using less water, even as we continue to develop more housing and non-residential developments. The city's cumulative water use efficiency efforts have resulted in a 44% decline since the year 1990. Also in 2021, the Water Department completed the installation of advanced metering infrastructure, which helped to provide hourly tracking of water usage. So this helps homeowners and business owners, in addition to city staff, in quickly identifying if leaks are present, which helps to conserve water. The council in 2021 adopted a capital improvement program, which includes various improvements to the city's Laguna treatment plant and reuse system, which allows the city to adequately, or to maintain capacity to adequately treat the wastewater that we have, and also that our regional partners generate as well. The open space and conservation element is implemented in a number of ways. One is through the city's Creek Stewardship program, and these activities continued in 2021. Part of this program is really focusing on caring for the creek, it's 100 miles of creeks within the urban growth boundary. And last year there were 6,100 participants in this program and over 250 educational and stewardship activities. And in total, there were 1,300 cubic yards of trash and debris that were collected from our waterways. And then we have the Citywide Creek Master Plan, which is one of our important planning documents, which identifies a number of improvements for our waterways. Some of them are projects that the city is able to implement based on ownership. And one of those projects includes the Colgan Creek restoration. This project was divided up into 2 phases. So phase 2 was completed last year. And then phase 1, which was completed a year or 2 ago, I believe, was maintained. This slide here shows some renderings of artwork. Both of these are actually proposed for our reunified courthouse square. The rendering on the left shows the Ruth Asawa art panels. So these were previously located on the fountain in the square, and they have been removed and went through a process with the Public Art Committee, and I think I might be saying that wrong, I apologize, for preservation. And so they will be coated in a bronze material, which will allow for them to be better preserved and maintained. And then they will be installed on a new fountain in the courthouse square area in the coming years. There was also a public process for a piece of artwork, an additional piece of artwork to be installed in the square. And the rendering on the right shows the winner of that contest and process. And this sculpture includes language and, it includes words in a number of languages, and this went through a public process as well. Moving into the noise and safety element, the safety element is one that needs to be updated on a regular basis to be in compliance with state law. The city recently adopted a multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan. which includes a number of projects, and some of these are highlighted below. One notable component of the hazard mitigation planning in general and the city's community wildfire protection plan was the allocation of $8 million of PG&E settlement funds. And this money will be applied to a vegetation management program and a wildland resiliency and response strategic plan. In addition, the city's various staff from the city have been working toward the rebuild of Fire Station 5. So this was the fire station located in the Fountain Grove Parkway, which was destroyed during the Tubbs fire. A new site has been identified and acquired, and this is located at the intersection of Stagecoach and the Fountain Grove Parkway. And so much of 2021, city staff worked on that land acquisition and also on the preliminary design and environmental document. And that project will be moving toward a design build contract later this year, so fall of 2022. There's also a battery backup system project completed. So this project provides 4 hours of battery backup for 175 traffic signals throughout our city. And then transportation and public works staff have been working with FEMA on obtaining a grant for an earthen berm, which will be located at the Laguna treatment plant to provide flood protection. The city also has a historic preservation element. So this is an important part of maintaining our 8 historic districts throughout the city, many of which are located within the downtown station area. One notable project, which started in 2021, includes a historic resource evaluation, which is looking at all of the properties within the downtown plan area that are age eligible. So based on age, they may be of historic significance, but they, as a part of the plan update, did not have an individual evaluation done. So this project will allow for a more thorough evaluation of these properties to identify if there is any significance, and will also help to ensure that projects within the downtown area of a specific age meet the requirements under the California Environmental Quality Act. The city received 18 landmark alteration permits in 2021. And so these are permits that are required for any exterior alterations to designated landmarks or also buildings within the city's preservation districts. One notable project, which I'd mentioned previously in the presentation, was the Smart Village Residential Project. This was approved by the Cultural Heritage Board in November of last year. Moving into the youth and family element, the Santa Rosa Violence Prevention Partnership, also called the Partnership, continued its operation, and this partnership is funded through Measure O proceeds and provides grants to city schools and nonprofit organizations to fund programs related to school readiness, street outreach and mediation, student engagement and truancy prevention, and workforce development. And since 2006, the partnership has provided more than $11 million to local community-based organizations and schools. Last year, the partnership hosted a series of community open houses in both English and Spanish, and community partner meetings to help address the roots of violence. The City Council also was able to apply some one-time monies to support what's called a program facility fund. And so this money will be used to help support both families and also our economic sector by ensuring more childcare opportunities. And so this total amount is $2.9 million from American Rescue Plan Act funds. And this will be provided by way of grants. And then a portion of that money will be used as a no interest revolving loan program. And then finally, the council was able to award some of the American Rescue Plan Act funds toward establishing what's called a children's savings account. And so this money will be provided to qualifying 2 to 5-year-olds within the city and can provide some significant opportunities to break the cycle of intergenerational poverty and positively impact family economic wellness and self-sufficiency. This slide here shows some notable accomplishments related to the city's climate action plan. The climate action plan is a standalone document, but much of it is incorporated in the general plan through various policies and programs. And as the commission and members of the public may know, we have a council subcommittee called the Climate Action Subcommittee, comprised of 3 council members. And the focus of that subcommittee is to implement our climate action plan. This slide includes a number of programs and study sessions that were held with the subcommittee in 2021. Some of them went on to council for full approval, which one notable item is a reusable and compostable foodware ordinance. This was adopted by the council in the summer of last year. The subcommittee also provided direction to planning staff to draft an ordinance prohibiting the construction of new gas stations. And this is an ordinance that you will be seeing in the coming months. Moving into growth management. So growth management is an element of the general plan, and it's also incorporated in the city's code. So growth management was added to the general plan in 1991 in response to some pretty rapid growth that was happening in the 80s. And it does allocate a certain amount of units per year. And these are separated out into 2 categories. There's Reserve A units, which are, in the most simple terms, all units that are not detached single-family dwellings that exceed 1,200 square feet. So these can be multifamily units, accessory dwelling units, mixed-use units, and then each year we are able to issue 400 allotments for Reserve A units, and then 400 allotments for Reserve B. So those are the single family units. And these allotments are reserved either at the time of final map recordation for those single family houses or upon issuance of a building permit for most of those Reserve A type units. We did have a lot of Reserve A units last year, 1,225. And this is because we were able to issue those because we're allowed to roll over unused Reserve A units from previous years. So between 2015 and 2018, we had a substantial amount left over. So we were able to apply those 825 Reserve A units for the year 2021. And this slide here shows progress made toward our inclusionary housing ordinance, or how various residential and non-residential projects are complying with those requirements. So the purpose of the inclusionary housing ordinance is to ensure that residential projects and many commercial projects are contributing toward the development of affordable housing in the city. Many projects will comply by paying an in lieu fee. This is the case for commercial projects and then many residential projects as well. There are other ways to comply outside of paying an in lieu fee or actually constructing a deed restricted affordable unit, which includes conservation or preservation of affordable units. These aren't options that we typically see, but I did want to note it regardless. And so we did have a total of 298 allocated units in 2021, and this generated this ordinance also generated $1.58 million in housing impact fees. So these housing impact fees are collected and then they are dispersed through our housing authority. And since 1992, when the Inclusionary Housing Ordinance was first adopted, a total of 1,870 affordable units have been supported. And with that, the Planning and Economic Development Department recommends that the Planning Commission, by motion, receive and approve the 2021 General Plan, Inclusionary Housing and Growth Management Annual Review Report. And my contact information is shown here. And as I previously mentioned, we do have other staff members available should you have any specific questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nicholson. Are there questions of staff at this time? Commissioner Krepke?
Yeah, if I might, Chair. Amy, what kind of questions and direction are you looking for on this? I mean, this is a lot of information, so there's a lot of questions that can come out of it. So I want to be cognizant of everybody's time. So is it just a free for all for questions, or is there specific feedback you're looking for?
Any questions are welcome. And if we can't provide a response today, we can certainly follow up later. I don't know that we have any specific feedback in mind, although if you were to note something that seemed inconsistent with something that you read, we'd certainly want to know that to ensure that this is accurate. But that's the only thing I can think of.
Thank you. Before we start, could I just ask for some clarification from Ms. Crocker? Since this is a study session, it's not a public hearing. Should we go to public comments first and then bring it back to the commission, or what would you recommend?
Hi. It's at your discretion. I would go ahead and suggest that if you are about to embark upon question and answer from the commission, that you go ahead and start by doing public comment, and then you would have a chance to react to those comments throughout your discussion.
Great, thank you. So if it's okay with the commission, I think I'll go ahead and do that. And so we'll go ahead. It's not a public hearing, so I won't read the regular public hearing item. So if anybody is here who wants to make a comment on this item, please raise your hand or dial *9. My guess, looking at the participants, is there's probably nobody. So
we do not have any raised hands at this time. Okay,
great. So we'll go ahead and close that portion of the meeting and bring it back to the commission. And maybe Commissioner Krepke, since there's two Jeffs, do you want to go ahead and start with some questions, and then we can just go around?
Sure. So for clarification, on pages 3 and 4, did you say page 3, those permits issued included fire rebuilds, but page 4 did not? Is that correct?
Let's see. So we are referencing the
overall permits versus the RENA allocations.
Okay. So in neither of those charts or graphs are there any fire rebuilds totals included.
All right, I must have misheard that. Sorry about that. And then why are there so few? The biggest thing that stands out on the RENA allocation is the drastic difference between extremely low income units as a percentage versus the rest. Do we have any data as to if those are all from the permits issued, or all from SB 35 housing or nonprofit like Mid Penn or Burbank housing versus are there any that have been incorporated in for-profit or market rate builds?
Let's see, I want to make sure I'm understanding your question. So as it relates to the extremely low income units, your observation is that there are far fewer of those than there are of the other low income categories?
Correct. And I'm just wondering if that's because those are mostly attributed or solely attributed to SB 35 or nonprofit affordable housing builds versus market rate commercial builds.
You know, I don't have that information available. It may be something that we can get back to you on. I can tell you that none of those units on that table are Senate Bill 35 projects because we hadn't issued any building permits for those in 2021. I'm not sure if it's a matter of funding or just the types of developers that are constructing those projects, but unfortunately I don't have any more information than that.
That's fine. If you can just get back to us with that, I think that's kind of some important information to have, considering if I recall correctly, we're about to go into the second cycle, or excuse me, the sixth cycle of this, where we're going to have even more added to that.
If I may, I just maybe we can, is the question of why is there so many in 2021 at that level?
No, the question is where are those being built, right? Are those attached to market rate builds, or are those only attached to 100% affordable housing builds? Because the delta between what we need and what's actually being built is quite drastic compared to the other levels.
Yeah, the very low definitely is not your typical affordable housing project. It's not the inclusionary units where you get 5 units in a 50-unit building. Those are typical. The very low income units are typically heavily dependent on lots of layering of federal and state financing, or even our local financing through our housing authority. It's really the only way they get developed. So they are definitely a very low category, are definitely a unique type of housing, and very specialized in how they finance.
Okay, so just going forward, and sorry if this is just not narrating, but whatever you want to call it. We're looking at about 1,000 units that are required this round that are very difficult to get built because of what you just described, and then going into the next round next year, or in 2 years, I believe, we're going to add to that. Is that correct? That's
correct, and that is definitely the area of challenge. Now, the reason why we were pretty successful, well, I would say we're very successful in this last year, is because we had an extraordinary, unusual amount of one-time funds from feds and the federal government and the state government, and our own PG&E funded money that also helped leverage these types of projects. So it's because of that special infusion that we were able to move this special category forward.
Okay, thank you very much. And then I'll scratch all these random questions off that don't really need to be taking up too many people's time here. But the one I do want to ask is, in terms of multimodal transportation, a more walkable city, bike and ped, where are we at, or where is SMART at, I guess would be the better question, with extending the path to city limits up to Fulton Road?
Let me see if there is let's see, Nancy Adams is on the call. Oh, and Yuri, so Transit and Transportation and Public Works, either one of them should be able to provide an answer for you.
So Amy, can you hear me? This is Nancy.
Yes, thanks, Nancy.
Yeah, so good afternoon, commissioners. I'll give you a little bit of what I know. We actually were, and I'm sorry, Nancy Adams, City of Santa Rosa, Transportation and Public Works. We were in a conversation with SMART a couple, I don't know, maybe last month or so, to ask them about, maybe having them put together an application for some active transportation funds for that reach of the smart multi-use path there from where it currently ends at Guerneville Road up, to the city limits, which would be around San Miguel area for us. And what we heard from the staff person there at Smart is there is a possibility there being there's some potential legal issues that Smart is trying to, I think, figure out. So we haven't, proceeded further with that conversation with them. So I don't know all the details. We certainly could check in with Smart and see if there's an update. And we haven't talked to them, in a few weeks. So that's all I know. But they are certainly interested in completing the pathway. I think it's just a matter of, trying to figure out, what if any they're going to be challenged with some issues with the pathway. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that. If we could get an update on that, I would really appreciate that as well. I don't mean to get territorial, but that's kind of the area I live in, and they try to get a more walkable, biking city. It doesn't, in my district specifically, we don't have access to that, so we can't even get to a Smart station just by walking down the pathway. So that'd be something I know that people around me and myself would be very interested in. That's all my questions, Chair. Thanks.
Thanks, Commissioner Krepke. Commissioner Cisco, do you have any questions? Okay. Commissioner Holton, do you have any questions?
Yeah, like Commissioner Krepke, I'm going to go ahead and keep this short and sweet. I've got a bunch of random questions, but I'll ask the most random one that is also close to my heart, and that pertains to water conservation. So with that being said, I'm just wondering if, in regards to the Finley Aquatic Spray Center, will the development plan be potentially impacted by worsening water crisis situation? And if not, do we have any metrics or information in regard to what the average water consumption, in addition to the existing water consumption, would be for an activity of sorts, for a recreational activity of sorts?
Thank you, Commissioner Holton, for that question. I believe that Parks would be the best to answer that. Oh, but we do have Colin Close from Water, and he I'm sure can give some great information.
Great, thank you.
I see Colin's hand raised, so go ahead, Colin.
Thank you so much. Yes, I was just waiting for that unmute. Appreciate that, Chair Weeks, and thank you, Commissioner Holton. That was a terrific question. So the good news about that kind of splash center, those play centers, that water is recycled and purified and reused. So it's not a one-time use.
Reclaimed water, or?
It's potable water, but it's like a pool is, it goes through a filter system, a chlorination system. So there is some evaporation, no doubt, but it's not a flow through of water. So it doesn't use nearly as much water as one might think intuitively looking at that water. It doesn't flow to sewer. It flows to filtration and chlorination. So I believe you may have had go ahead. I'm sorry.
Do we have any potential data on what the excess of usage would be in contrast to what the current usage is for the Finley Aquatic Center?
I don't have their water use history in front of me. We certainly could do some research on that, but typically pools use about as much water as a play field would use, a soccer field, that sort of thing, and tend to serve as many or more individuals in our community. So in terms of sort of the water use per person, it's relatively low in terms of, and it's also can become a cooling center for folks during extreme weather conditions. So certainly we're in drought and we have to be very careful with our water use. I can tell you I just did some analysis in preparation for tonight's meeting, just looking back to 2013, seeing how Planner Nicholson was talking about the number of units that have been added, and I looked at the population that's been added, and I also looked at our gallons per capita per day. And when I compare 2013 to 2020, which was before we declared our drought that we're currently in, our water use per capita in the residential sector went down 11%. So we have an amazing community that is doing a terrific job. And we have very active water conservation programs. And the planning department has been an early adopter of all water use efficiency measures in building code and green building code standards. So definitely we're in a difficult time. This is a real struggle for us. And, you know, we are working closely with our water partners in our area to make sure that there is enough water for our community. But at the same time, the community has really, over the years, done a stellar job of being more and more water wise with their water use. So I can't tell you exactly what that aquatic center would use, but again, considering its multi-purpose uses, the number of people it serves, and what, for example, a play field would use, it's really kind of in concert with the kinds of ways that we think using water is appropriate in our community.
Great. Thank you.
Mr. Close, while you're still here, let me jump in real quick. Once again, as always, you're a wealth of information, and I thank you for doing that analysis before the meeting tonight. I'm going to ask you if you have any idea how many people have signed up for the Water Smart portal.
Oh, that is such a terrific question. I wish I had that handy. I do not know at this point, but it has taken off quite a bit. For anybody who's listening who is a water customer with City of Santa Rosa, you can go to our Water Smart portal, srcity.org/watersmart, and learn more about how you can sign up for free and get tons of information about your specific water use and free alerts when your water use exceeds a certain amount per day or when it looks like you might have a leak. All of those services are free and readily available for you about your own water use. And but Chair Weeks, I'll ask and we will send that information to the Secretary and get that out to the Commission. Thank you for that question.
Great, thank you. I just find it very useful for me to, I'm a big proponent of that. So let's see, we'll go Commissioner Holton, did you have any other question? Okay. Vice Chair Peterson, do you have any questions?
I think just one, so apologies if I missed the mention of it. I'm just wondering, and the answer can be totally off the cuff, what, if any, impact SB 9 has had thus far this year?
I can tell you that we have received several SB 9 applications, but I don't have the number of new units that are proposed through those applications. We can certainly pull together that information and send it to the Commission, though.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'm just wondering if it sounds like more of a trickle than a flood, but it's early yet. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions. The historic resource evaluation timeline, is that next year, 2 years? Any idea?
Thanks, Chair Weeks, for that question. I'm going to see if Amy Lyle is available to answer that question.
Yes, good afternoon, Chair Weeks, members of the Commission. So that is a grant-funded project that is grant-funded through September of 2023. We don't anticipate that it will take that long. So this fall is when we anticipate finalizing that project and bringing some of that work forward for information and for your acceptance.
Thank you. And then Fremont Park, I didn't see mentioned in the Park and Rec or the Parks section. That because the work didn't start in 2021, it's going to be the community meetings or whatever are all taking place in 22 and later. Is that why?
That I'm not sure because we received that section from Parks, but we do just look at, the one calendar year. So if the planning or meetings occurred or are planned for 2022, they wouldn't be mentioned until next year's report.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
One comment is that I know that the Housing Authority gets a list of projects in the pipeline, that maybe we could get on a monthly or even bi-monthly basis to see a lot of those projects we end up not seeing for one reason or another, and so that might be an interesting information for us to have. And then I know that the item's going to go to council on June 7th, I believe, as a consent item. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So what do you need from us other than our comments? We don't have, because it's a study session, we don't have a vote. We just say, we gave you our comments, proceed.
That's a great question. And I know I believe it is a motion, but Ashley, are you able to help?
Yes, we had scheduled this as just a motion to receive and accept or approve, I believe, the report, and then it will be forwarded on to council.
Okay, so with that, do I have a motion?
I'll move that motion.
Okay, a second? Okay, so that was moved by Commissioner Cisco, seconded by Commissioner Okrepke. Ms. Cleary, do you want to call roll, or Ms. Hopwood? Or call vote, rather?
I apologize. I will go ahead and take a roll call vote. Chair Weeks?
Aye.
Commissioner Peterson? I'm sorry, apologize. Vice Chair Peterson?
Aye.
Commissioner Cisco?
Aye.
Commissioner Okrepke?
Aye.
Commissioner Holton?
Aye.
Thank you. All members of the commission present have voted in favor.
Great, thank you. So is there anything else before we adjourn? I would like to thank both Eileen and Kimberly for their work tonight. And hopefully we'll, quote unquote, see you again. So if there's no other comments, I'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting to our next regularly scheduled meeting in the month of June.
Nice to see everyone.
Bye.